to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Matt, could we please have the roll call?
Counselor Batolo.
Here.
Hanson.
Here.
Zadi.
Here.
Hickerson.
Here.
Pedri. Demas.
Here.
Thompson.
Here.
Robinson.
Here.
Mayor Mickelson.
Here. Okay, and that takes us into our need for an approval of the revised agenda. If someone would please make a motion.
So moved, Your Honor.
Thank you, Councilor Hickerson. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Demas. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries unanimously, bringing us to our consent agenda. First up, we have the City Council meeting minutes and special meeting minutes of September 17th, 2024. Under appointments, we have Susie Von Arens, Peg Larson, Chris Tuning, and Bernadine Kraft, all in their second term for the Box Art Committee. Andrew Neeland doing a first term on the Community Fine Arts Center Advisory Board. Jim Schmidt for a second term on the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. And Cody Muniz to fill an unexpired term on the Planning and Zoning Commission. We had the Rock Springs Renewal Fund financial statements for June of 2024, the Joint Powers Telecom Board meeting minutes of August 15th, 2024, a notice from the Department of Environmental Quality regarding the filing of an application to the Industrial Siting Council for the Dry Creek Trona project, and a memorandum from the Urban Renewal Agency Commission regarding downtown revitalization key projects. Council, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Councilor Batolo. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Hanson. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Hearing none, the motion carries unanimously, bringing us to our bid openings. First up, we will have bids on the Wataha Recreation Complex playground equipment. Uh-oh. We're getting violent over here. Sweet Lord.
Is there 4 there?
1, 2, 3.
You can have that one too.
Oh, thanks. Okay, so first up, we have Lucky Dog Recreation from Clearfield, Utah. There's a bid bond. Their total bid amount is $100,450.90. $100,450.90. And there is a bid bond. Thank you. Next up, we have Star Playgrounds. We'll figure out where they are when I open her up. They're from Littleton, Colorado, and their bid amount is $83,563. That is $83,563. And there is a bid bond. Next up, we have Great Western Recreation from Logan, Utah. There's a bid bond. And their total bid amount is $92,413.32. $92,413.32. And our final bid is from Dakota Playground in West Fargo, North Dakota. Good Lord. Okay, there is a bid bond. they were serious. And their total bid amount is $113,280. $113,280. Okay. Next up, we have bid openings for the Northeast Detention Basins project. First, we have D. Bernardi Construction from Rock Springs, Wyoming. The total bid amount is $2,895,923.23. $2,895,923.23, and there is a bid bond. And our final bid opening of this evening is from Searle Brothers here in Rock Springs. There's a bid bond. And the total bid amount is $1,249,909.75. Nope. Yep. Well, there are two, but the one I started to read was an alternate, so the total bid amount is $2,225,913.79. $2,225,913.79. I really liked that first number I was reading. Thank you. Okay, with those bid openings out of the way, it brings us to commendations. And this evening, I will turn the mic over to Mr. Severud.
Let's see. Where am I missing my start? All right, Mayor, Council, thank you very much for allowing me to recognize a 43-plus year veteran of Parks and Rec, someone who's been a mentor to me and many in our crowd. And with that, I'll kick this off. Dave Lansing, full-timer as of 81 through 2024. I'm in fear that my little presentation here isn't going to do nearly the justice that his 43 years has produced. However, I'm going to try to hit some highlights, and we'll keep this under a couple hours. I think the WAM people need to get home. First, career timeline. So interestingly, the year the golf course opened is when Dave started working there in the summers as a laborer. So he's been there since day one. And so he's basically, in some fashion, been a part of this golf course since it started up and been here a long time. So following that, fall of 81. So October 24th of 81 was his first day. So he's going to land just 20 days short of a full 43. We're going to call it that, though. Municipal worker is what they called it back then. Obviously, quickly moved up to an assistant golf course superintendent, not surprising with his work ethic. Then became the Watauga Complex superintendent. If I'm not mistaken, you were 23 when you took that? 23 years old. So taking on a full division is pretty impressive at that age. So there was a lot of confidence there, and ran that golf course very well. I got to play on it during his tenure. Still a little upset about some of the green speeds, a little quick at sometimes, affected my scores. And then was promoted into the Park and Rec director based on his achievements there. You can see some of his pictures. There's some old ones there. Let me rewind. That is Dave on the bottom left. So yeah, youngster. I'm not going to talk too much through this. I could probably filled out 20 of these sheets if we got into the minutia. There is so much here. I'll give you kind of a couple seconds. This is just basically our green spaces, and there is a lot. And believe me, this is not comprehensive. Ain't no hill to a climber. I don't know how many times I heard this. Usually during a challenge that I had, and that's what I would hear. Well, it's no hill to a climber, so go climb. And here's some of the things that came out of it. I'll highlight a few of these later in there, but yeah, there's such a huge list here. If I spent just a couple minutes on just these, we'd be here the 2 hours I promised you it. So anybody else want to review? I'll give you a minute here. But and a lot of these are still going on, are being carried forward as we speak. So quite a bit of stuff. Did the indoor rec centers, kind of combine those, but yeah, I mean, there's just so much here. I was trying to pick from where we went, but you know, one of the things as we move forward is the division leaders that we have now, except for one, we're all there. Only one mistake on that list, but you know, I'll try to rectify that moving forward. But yeah, there's so much things. It's kind of funny when I was putting this together, and I've been involved in some of these, not all of them, and knowing the minutia and the steps. And I'm sure everyone here can, you know just one of these little things has multiple steps and council agreements, and there's so much there. So the work that goes into this is just really not, the back end of this work is just not there for what this came to. But yeah, there's quite a bit of stuff, and I'll be happy to share this slideshow with anyone that wanted to look at it more. But if you do, then let me add in my other like 60 things. Some of the notable stuff, I want to bring these up. So the quad expansion, this is one of the biggest, more expensive pieces that we added on to the rec center, and it's been good. We'd like to have it open a little more, but yeah, you can kind of see down there was the groundbreaking, grand opening lower left, and just the kids playing, and a good aerial of what it looks like there. But I was told by so I believe the initial cost of it was somewhere around in the 8 million range. And now with fixes and everything, we're running somewhere around 11. So we put a lot of money into this amenity. Big one here, 9-hole expansion. This happened as Dave was transitioning into director. So John Keller ended up taking it, and they were working together a lot. And for our ability to handle rounds and for play to keep going during tournament rounds, this has been absolutely an amazing add to all of the amenities that we have out there. And I think it's a lot of fun to play. So fun layout. It's different layout than our upper 18. Couldn't speak to everybody's name here, but Dave might know him. He's over here in the upper left corner. It looks like he's wearing a Carhartt jacket, third from the left. Dave is also, through this process, a little bit like Bigfoot. You can get some pictures of him, but they're usually from far away. He's not standing still long enough to get his picture taken very often. Arthur Park, which is our disc golf park. And I have a little video that's going to follow this. It's going to show a nice aerial of this. But yeah, some of the grand opening things, that did a lot with that area. We know it gets utilized a lot. People even like to go up there and throw color all over the place. So we're happy with it. One of the bigger surprises to me personally, but this is one of our most visited parks. Is that right? Maybe besides Bunning. And the dog park has been a huge ad down there and gets a lot of action. And yeah, you can see Dave over in the Mark put these together from this, and you can see a ribbon cutting, and Dave's down in there next to the furry dog. Summit Park, this was an ad as well during his time. filled out that little space over there behind Home Depot. Recent pickup here, and then yeah, some construction right there. Wetlands. I know that there's more engineering piece of this that came about, but Mark and Dave worked hard to make sure this is kind of a nice little area where people can visit, and it serves a different role as well in engineering, keeping that water out of there, I suppose. Bunning Park. So this is like the amount of use this park gets and the pressure with weddings and events and everything has been crazy. And like I said, Dave and Mark did a lot of work upgrading this. We got a playground move, so I had better space near the stage, the stairs. Used to be a car wash there, if anyone remembers. And the sign, bathrooms, that parking lot. So ton of upgrades there. And that's our signature park. That's where everybody wants everything to be. So a lot of good work was done there. Our latest stuff. My before pictures look so terrible, I didn't dare put them on there, but our lighting upgrades out of Watauga have been huge. If there's any softball players have seen, I've been able to experience it. It's been amazing. This chiller also that just went in. Not a very exciting picture, but the ice is cold and not melted, which is a definite positive for anyone that likes to use ice, like our mayor. This is his favorite place to go. And like there's nothing really awe-inspiring about a long trench, but these riddle our golf course right now with the irrigation project that Dave worked tirelessly on to make sure it was ready, and took that weight off my shoulders, which I deeply appreciate. And it's going to, I think, enhance our golf course in a lot of ways. I think everyone's going to be real happy over the next couple of years with what that produces. Have to mention his family. If you know Dave, very big family man, does a lot of priority in his life is being with his family. And as everybody here can sure attest, without that leaning post or that background of people to support you, everything is harder. And he's got a great cast. Some pictures of his family, his wife, his daughter is in attendance here. That's his new boss now. So, he's got a tougher road ahead than me. And then, congratulations on 43 years. I want to mention his legacy. So 43 plus years of working for the city in every facet you can imagine, through Parks and Rec and helping and working with different stakeholders to try to achieve our goals. Like I said, director for nearly 18 years is a long time. The superintendents that he's on board here, we're still carrying everything forward. A lot of his visions are still moving this direction. Combined the Rec and Division, that's just an efficiency move that he made, which still is yearly producing some type of cost savings. Like I mentioned earlier, countless number of facility upgrades. If we got down into some of the little stuff, man, it like I said, it could just be a list that would just take forever to get through. The special purpose taxes, which he's been through 2 of them, and all the multiple grants, there's just raised millions and millions of dollars to improve what we've done here. And he's been at the forefront of that and pushed those. And I think the success of a lot of those is due to his efforts. So congrats on 43 years, but this isn't over. I want to show a little video. And I'd like to give a special thanks to Coulter Como, who orchestrated this little guy. Enjoy. Coulter. Thank you for that.
That was
And
well done.
just to finish here, by far no means a full inventory of our parks that Dave oversaw for the last 18 years, but some highlights and some things that I know that we're proud of. And a lot of those green spaces, they said, were developed in collaboration with Dave and Mark trying to beautify these streets. So with that, that's it. Thank you.
You don't have to, but if you'd like to say anything, you're more than welcome.
No, I really don't. I will say one.
First off, thanks JJ for all that. That's a lot of work. I told Max and JJ a month ago I wanted my work just to speak for itself, and I didn't want any accolades or anything like that. And they twisted my arm, and I said, okay, I'll show up. So, but one of the real keys to all the work that goes on there, I think, really happens with a lot of the staff that I'm leaving behind. The four superintendents that I had and the golf pro that I've had for over a decade now are really the ones that do the lion's share of the work and carry the heavy weight. I'm in the in the backs in the scene areas, looking at what they're doing and pushing things like contracts forward and things like that. But a lot of the credit really does go to JJ. A lot of the pictures and whatnot that you saw were Mark's work over the last 17 years. Like I say, Aaron's been here for a decade. Grant's been here a little over a decade, maybe a year longer than Aaron. And then Robin's been with the department for the better part of 20 years, but 5 years over at the rec center. So I think if there's one thing that I take away from tonight, it's that even as I get out of the way and let these guys lead, it's a group that is really committed to the work that they do. They're dedicated individuals who really have a passion for the work that they do. And that's what I'm most proud of, is that these guys are going to be here pushing the work forward for Rock Springs. So anyway, JJ, thanks. Coulter, thank you for that. And Mayor and councilors, it's been real, but I'm gonna fade back into the shadows. So anyway, thank you very much.
The council and JJ and I knew that you did not want a plaque, so we have a certificate, and we also chipped in to get you appreciation and thank you present. So I'm going to bring that over,
Well, thank you. Thank you.
and then we'll get a picture.
Okay.
Oh, you didn't put your.
Randy, can I have you move to your left, please? Right closer to Tim? Yeah. There you go. I have you in there too, bud. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Yeah, thank you. I'm gonna get you my new phone number tomorrow.
Where do those pictures come from?
Yeah. Shows you what a difference that makes, though. You look at the
Thank you.
contrast between the green belt and the land right next to it. It is. Okay, that brings us to the presentations and proclamations portion of this evening. And first up, we have the Wyoming Association of Municipalities with Ashley Harpstreet, the executive director, here to present to us on the benefits of joining and not being the only recalcitrant community.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. My name is Ashley Harbstreet, and I'm the Executive Director for Wyoming Association of Municipalities. I can tell you I have a group of board members that have a lot of Park and Rec envy behind me. This is going to be a tough act to follow, but thank you for having us here tonight. Our mission is very simple. We exist to advocate for cities and towns' common interest and provide educational opportunities for our WAM membership. We have been incorporated since 1961, and we are a private, nonprofit, nonpartisan 501c6. We serve a 6-member region, and Rock Springs is currently in the Region 6. I provided this presentation to you earlier, but you can look at how our structure is set up within our corporation. But why we're really here today is to talk about what WAM can do for Rock Springs. We are here to advocate for your best interest. Through our membership, we have local connections to access to all 93 legislators, plus the 5 State Land and Investment Board, along with myself and staff that continually to develop those relationships. Stronger together, we hope you consider to leverage our network. We use tactics and strategies to make things happen before session and to ensure we are set up for a successful session. We have strong alliances with other entities, lobbyists, and association. We host multiple legislative receptions and have countless legislative touches throughout the year as we maintain relationships from a cup of coffee to attending events across the state all year long. This year, spoiler alert, we're going to have lunch with the locals at the Capitol, where we're going to be touching legislators locally in Cheyenne every other week while they're going through the legislation. Not only we are effective at the state level, but we have highly networked at the federal level with our local federal delegation, plus attend all the National League of Cities events and in DC. We've begun to work closely at the county level. We are members of the Wyoming County Commissioners Association and just recently attended Waco here in Rock Springs. We currently have several initiatives we are working on together, including direct distribution, historic horse racing, and direct investments in equities for our locals. Internally, we have a legislative leadership committee, which is 1 rep from each region, our Wyoming City of Managers Association, a rep from Wyoming Clerks and Treasurers, our WAM president, and our WAM vice president. With the current dynamic of the legislature, it is important now more than ever we have a strong, clear, and concise voice for municipalities. I provided our legislative tracker ahead of time to you. As of right now, we have 38 interim bills and counting. Current issues I would think that you might have some interest in are as follows. Judiciary. There is a governmental claims act that would increase the liability limits with ×4 with the premiums raising by 20%. We are in strong opposition of this and have successfully tabled that for now. Just last week, I testified at Joint Appropriations Committee for local approval of historic horse racing at the municipal level. As you know, we cannot do that right now. We are in strong support of that bill. In Corporations and Regulatory Reduction Task Force, there are a slew of preemption bills that I have my legislative director here if you want to learn more about those, that there are too many to mention. Carter Napier, who's our current vice president of the WAM board and also city manager at City of Casper, has a seat at the Regulatory Reduction Task Force Legislative Interim Committee. Again, our legislative director, Bob McLaurin, is in working groups behind the scenes, and I think currently working on comments as he's sitting here multitasking for the Regulatory Reduction Task Force. There are multiple considerations just in those 2 committees that are causing us grave concern. In capital finance, there is a couple bills we're working on for local government funds of direct investments in equities. We worked to pass Amendment A couple years ago that allows us to do that. We are looking at WyoStar 3 and setting that up with the treasurer. Also working on some legislation for pooled income and to create a way to directly invest safely. In minerals, next week, we will be talking about impact assistant payments and industrial siting considerations, which would increase the percentage of your payments. I know that's a strong consideration for Southwest Wyoming as you guys have so much going on here. Membership includes more than advocacy. For communications, we would be your go-to resource. Federal, state, and local agencies connect through us as we are that one-stop shop as a conduit for information to all of our 98 cities and members we serve. An example of recently is we worked with Wyoming Department of Audit to develop a certified fiscal officer training that we currently give to deliver to our members. We send out many important updates and information that is relevant to your community and running municipal government through a variety of ways. We had word from WHAM that you would get monthly on the interim activities, and then a weekly session update. Plus, we're doing like kind of a fireside chat or couch chat. I don't know what we're calling it yet. We'll be working on that with a weekly recap of what's going on at the Capitol. We also are working on expanding our website to make it more interactive, and we have a membership portal. And the last two bullet points, I'm going to let my membership director here, Justin Schilly, take it home.
Mayor Mickelson, Council of Rock Springs. My name is Justin Schilling. I've been the Member Services Manager for WHAM for 6 years, and it's a pleasure to finally meet you. I've been asked to talk a little bit about our leadership development and educational programs. We're continually updating our training modules to offer more continuing education opportunities for municipal elected officials throughout the year. We deliver these learning opportunities with emphasis on accessibility and meeting you where you are. With that in mind, we plan on more frequent virtual opportunities throughout the year, and we'll continue to strive to increase the quality of our in-person events. These new training touches and continuing education will all be built on the cornerstone that is our newly elected boot camp. We host the newly elected boot camp every 2 years following the general election during WHAM Winter Conference. It's a full-day presentation designed to give new municipal leaders the tools and information they need to hit the ground running in their new office. As an added bonus, it has been approved to fulfill the state's fiscal officer training requirement through the Department of Audit. And we report directly to the Department of Audit all those who attend the boot camp. We feel so strongly about the importance and benefit of this program, we offer it for free. We offer it free of charge to those who are unable to attend the rest of Winter Conference. Participation was incredible in 2023, with over 130 attendees, and we expect continued growth with a good reputation this January. Of course, we do hope you'll consider registering your newly electeds and yourselves for the 2025 WHAM Winter Conference in Cheyenne, held every year during the legislative session. This event brings together municipal leaders from across the state for 3 days of education and networking, and offers multiple opportunities for our membership to interact with the Wyoming legislature and executive branch. It's not all cocktail weenies and cocktail hours, however. One example I'll give you of the power of WHAM in that particular venue. Direct distribution was obviously up this last session. The governor had recommended $110 million. Joint appropriations in December decided 105 would be fine. It came out of through some different machinations, it came out of the House at 146.25 by happenstance. Our winter conference actually was on the dates where Senate appropriations considered that bill the Friday of our conference, while we were scheduled to be at the Capitol. We had pretty good intel that Senate corporations was going to cut that. I've never in my 6 years seen an individual legislator cut that bill on the floor for fear of the political fallout of taking on all the municipalities, but the committees seem a little braver. So we packed that room. I have a great picture that sits in my office of us 3 rows deep in the hall, in the rotunda, across in the historic Supreme Court chambers. The Senate did not cut the 146.25. It traveled to the Senate floor, and it carried. That obviously was a big win for WHAM. It showed the power of us in numbers and us unified. And for the city of Rock Springs, in comparison to the $110 million that the governor recommended, the 146, that difference was a $1.1 million gain for you guys over the biennium. So a very powerful indication of what we can accomplish together. Summer Convention is our other major annual in-person event and moves around the state to new host cities each year. Great educational opportunities, top shelf speakers, fun social events, and working together to chart WHAM's legislative goals for the coming year all make this a can't miss event. This year's event will be in Cheyenne, June 11th through the 13th, so save the date, and we hope to see you there. We host individual meetings for WHAM's 6 regions twice annually, in person in the fall, virtually in the spring. Rock Springs would rejoin WHAM Region 6, along with 15 other communities from Sweetwater and Carbon counties. These meetings are a great opportunity for communities to connect and share their triumphs and challenges. We invite local members of the legislature as well, so it's an awesome opportunity to ensure your issues and concerns are front of mind before they head to Cheyenne for session. Finally, our webinar and workshop offerings will continue to grow, but in the past have focused on deep dives into municipal finance, human resources, grant resources, ARPA funding administration, and much, much more. With that, it's my pleasure to introduce Mayor Matt Hall of the City of Cody, our current WHAM president.
Thanks, Justin. Okay. I have to get my marching orders and the little tech things figured out. Anyway, thanks, Mayor Council, for letting us present here tonight. You might recognize some folks behind me, and I want to take a minute to introduce them. We have Mayor Kelly Krakow from Albin, Mayor Kim Pexton from Douglas, Mayor Joel Highsmith from Shoshone. A little closer to town, we have Mayor Murdoch from Pinedale, Mayor Dominic Wolf from Superior, Treasurer Shari Laura from Lander, Clerk Treasurer Penny Robbins from Mountain View. And it was his wish to be here tonight. Our Vice President is City Manager Carter Napier. Unfortunately, had a bit of a council emergency, so I think he did provide a letter from himself and the 2 managers from Gillette and Laramie to reflect on how they feel about the importance of WHAM. Briefly, if I remember my slides correctly. Thanks, Ashley. I just want to provide information on the representation of the WHAM Board of Directors. They're elected by the municipalities from each region. So we're able to provide and address a strong municipal approach, a holistic approach to how we look at those bills and legislative activities. Being stronger together, we provide an effective feedback in our advocacy space. Through our Legislative Leadership Committee and Board, we carefully approach legislation and strategically work on bills that impact members, both big and small. With that said, you will see the current legislative tracker that Ashley has provided. There are several proposals out there that certainly impact your community, and we would hope you would leverage us through your membership so we can continue to have that clear and concise municipal voice. I just wanted to point out we're additionally part of a larger network, and you'll see this is some of the association boards that we partnership with. See some familiar ones there. Of course, I can't say enough about the staff, our new executive director. She's really whipped us into shape and got us hitting on all cylinders, I think. Of course, Justin, and then our 2 other staff members here tonight that Ashley pointed out, Bob McLaren is our legislative director, and Erla, there she is. Erla is our finance manager. Finally, we have our corporate partnerships. You might notice a few of those up there. Funds raised by these help pay for our advocacy services in the legislature. I would like to reiterate one thing, that we do not use membership dues from municipalities to advocate. And really, before I kind of open it back up for questions, I just want to again say how grateful we are for the time tonight, and we hope our presentation has demonstrated how WHAM provides educational services, legislative support, and important networking for our memberships. And finally, on behalf of WHAM, I would ask you, the leaders of Rock Springs, to bring your community back on board so that WHAM can be at full strength with all of Wyoming's 99 municipalities. And thank you, gentlemen, tonight, and lady, for entertaining us, and we're happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Council?
I have a question. What will it cost us to join? The cost?
That would be...
We submitted an invoice to the mayor, and it's around $29,000. I don't have that right handy, but I know it was right at $29,000.
That's correct. Just a little shy of 30.
So what does that $29,000 go to if it doesn't go for advocacy?
It goes to education, leadership, running the organization, member services.
And how do you calculate that cost?
I might need help on that one. I'm learning.
Your dues?
Yeah.
The dues is a per capita, calculation.
So for us, we're paying more to get the same level of assistance as a smaller community?
I would say we're serving you a lot more. It's in proportion of the issues that are going to affect Rock Springs. No offense, Mayor Highsmith, is not the same in Shoshone.
Agreed, and that's one of my questions coming up. Sorry to interrupt everybody.
No, you're good.
I know there's a lot more municipalities on the eastern half of the state versus the western half, but I also know the needs of the municipalities in the western half of the state differ greatly from those, say, like Cheyenne and Sheridan. So how do you guys as a unit differentiate what's good for the east, what that may not be good for the west, and vice versa?
I'm hoping that the letters from the bigger cities that they provide and support, I mean, especially Casper and Cheyenne being two of our biggest cities and having lots of needs, show how we address all of those depending on how it's specific to you. I mean, Rock Springs and the southwest part of Wyoming has unique challenges in front of them. And that's why we have a robust team to make sure that we're addressing those in a timely fashion. I don't know if there's go ahead, please.
So, Councilman Hickerson, Matt Murdock, Mayor of Pinedale, and I can tell you on a number of instances in the last 11 years that Pinedale's had specific issues that either Jackson, Afton, Star Valley, Kemmer, Green River have been aptly presented in Cheyenne and defended. And very clearly that when we have an issue that may not be a Shoshone issue or may not be a Gillette issue, there's kind of like, as long as it's not harming the whole, we can definitely advocate for the part. And so there have been several times where we've had issues in Pinedale that have actually worked very well overall. So I don't think you need to be worried about that in the sense that we work as a group and the different regions are obviously communicating and talking to each other. And we kind of keep each other in balance and make sure that there's that good representation of the small towns and the big cities at the east and the west and the south and the north. And so there's always going to be a discussion, but that's what you do at your table every week too. So
Yeah. All right, thank you.
May.
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor, Council, I'm on this job for a month. And one of the things that in my network, they were very concerned about, Ashley, you're going to apply for this, you're going to have 99 bosses. The cohesion is not a problem internally, it's externally. And getting everybody on the same page of what we need to service our communities. And so I hope that you can come in and feel that warm, fuzzy blanket that I've been a part of in this last month. And all the mayors, I think it's gonna be opposite. Like Mayor Mickelson would be like, she's driving me crazy again, because there's so many things going on specifically for Southwest Wyoming. We need you at the table to be able to represent the state best and set our state up for success.
Okay.
And just to double down on that, I mean, we deploy that staff into all 6 of those regions. They go to all the region meetings, and so they're on the road much of the year with that. And we're having our board meeting here tomorrow in your fine city, and so we do our best to bring as much of our delegation to the Southwest because we know how important of an area it is.
Can I ask your staff where each one of you guys are from?
We're all based in Cheyenne.
Oh,
just
you're
because,
all out of Cheyenne?
except for Bob. Yep, I'm sorry, Bob.
I'm a part-time employee, and I live in Jackson, but I travel the state for the interim committees, and then I'm down for the whole session. I'm a former city manager that they were shorthanded a couple of years ago, and I've been helping them out. But I also wanted to say that obviously there's a variation in the amount each community pays, but if you look at an issue like preemption, there are 14 preemption bills circulating right now. A regulatory reduction task force whose sole purpose is to impede and interfere with how local governments handle planning and development. And we have been successful in killing about half of those so far. So that is an issue that's important to all cities, whether it's Opal or Pavilion or Rock Springs or Cheyenne, because our fundamental premise is local decisions are best made by local officials. We hear a lot of complaining about what the feds do to the state. Well, this regulatory reduction task force is exactly them doing the same thing to local governments. Trying to implement a one-size-fits-all on how you're gonna zone your community, how you're gonna set parking standards, what are the fees you can charge for building and planning permits. So we're there slugging it out every day, making sure that local governments have the ability to manage their communities the way they think they should be managed. But anyway, I live in Jackson, I'm sorry.
Why it makes sense for us to be in Cheyenne, for example, on the way here, I was fielding a call from the director of revenue that wants to have lunch with me on Tuesday. Okay, I can be there. All of your agency directors, all your SLID members, all of the activity is there, but that doesn't mean we're shy of driving. We'll be where we need to be.
To reiterate Ashley's point, yeah, we're about a block from the Capitol. In that proximity, if you look at the other statewide associations, the County Clerks Association is literally about a quarter mile as the crow flies from our office. The School Boards Association, the list goes on. They're all in Cheyenne, and it has to do with the extended, the extended sessions and being there, and also touching base with the executive branch. Mr. Chairman and Councilor Hickerson, one thing I would say too, one of the things that we've really worked on is cohesiveness in our membership. In the past, and this is just before my time with Wayne, we would run into cases where we would be advocating for something that would support the bigger cities, and we might have a small town mayor there to testify against it. We've really worked on that cohesion, and is some of our strongest testimony and some of the things that have really pushed things over the hill have been opportunities where something that's going to support the big cities is advocated for by one of our small towns, because that shows the legislature that this might not support me and my community, but it's good for Wyoming. Best example of that, Mayor Highsmith from Shoshone. We were working on that municipal investment bill in equities last year, which that was a multi-year project because we had to push through Amendment A on the ballot, and then we had to go back and chase legislation. After that was allowed, we needed one vote in the Senate on concurrence. The governor was going to veto it because of an amendment that had been put on. Mayor Highsmith doesn't have the resources to invest in equity. But I was able to make that call. He was able to reach out to Senator Salazar, and we got the vote we needed to get that passed. But he was also able to say with a straight face to Senator Salazar that, yeah, it doesn't benefit my community, but it's good for Wyoming. So by all of us carrying water for each other and vouching for each other's wants and needs, we're just that much stronger. Because there are members of the legislature that wait for us to crack. There are some of them that, amend things to try to get us to crack. But the more we can stay together, the more we're successful there.
Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
Just a few comments. I was on council when we decided not to participate in WHAM. And at that time, the feeling was we didn't have a voice as the larger communities. It seemed like the smaller communities had a bigger voice, and that was really kind of a point of contention for us at that point. I think over the years and listening to WHAM and what you're talking about, there may be more of a voice for larger communities. I can say that as a member of WHAM, your communication is really great to see during legislative session. They send out notices for committee meetings, bills that are coming up, and hey, we need your support here or there. So I do applaud you for that. The communication's really great. It's been a long time. Times have changed. We do have some issues. Political makeup in Cheyenne is a lot different than it has been, pointing to the fact that the 14 bills that were spoken about and what they're trying to do to limit our ability to govern our communities. It may be a good time to start and reconsider our stance and participate once again in WHAM and become part of that voice. So that's.
Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
One of the issues I've always had is, to me, it seems like there's 6 or 7 counties that are pretty much an industrial type of economy. The others are somewhat agriculture. I've always felt that the agriculture part has had too much of a voice, while the industrial part hasn't had enough of a voice, just because of the numbers of the counties. Do you guys help with that kind of a situation to equalize the bills, the business that goes on in Casper? And then another point, I've always felt that Casper and Cheyenne, they're big squeaky wheels. And the rest of us get kind of the scraps after that. Do you guys help with those situations that I brought up?
Mayor, Councilor Botello, if I said that
Yes.
correctly.
Good job.
Sorry. I should have probably prefaced with a background on myself. I came from economic development and recently just came from the Wyoming Taxpayers Association, which is largely supported by the largest taxpayers in the state of Wyoming. I've been in this chamber speaking numerous times about the tax structure of Wyoming and how dependent we are on our minerals industry and industrial industry. On the way here, while we were multitasking coming, I was on a call with Wyoming Mining Association, who is going to be a very strong ally of ours that I'm bringing to the table. Absolutely, we need to be partnering if we want to have these healthy communities thrive. I've already spoken to the mayor about potentially serving on several different committees, different ways that he can get plugged in. That's, of course, by vote of the membership. But we want you to be a squeaky wheel. We really love Sweetwater County. I especially do. I have my Jenner jacket I brought in with me. I know it's CC Jam now,
For
but
the state, we have been a cash cow.
I agree wholeheartedly. But we need you at the table. So we hope that you will join and fight with us, and we will find a place for you at the table.
Okay, very good. I would just put my own plug in as somebody who was not always on board with the membership. Certainly with the preemption laws, that is something that is really critical if we enjoy being up here and being productive, that we end. And then I was recently participated in the industrial siting meeting with Lincoln, Uinta, and Sweetwater counties. And one of our local representatives last session led a change which reduced the amount of money that we could distribute amongst ourselves from 60 million down to 34 million. So that is a tremendous loss, for our communities. And going forward with the projects, we're not going to have access to those funds. So we will have the impact, but we will not be able to access the funds to mitigate it. So I think it is really critical that we have a voice with you going forward. So just so everyone knows, the action item to decide whether we join or not will be up at our October 15th meeting. So if you have questions in the meantime, please reach out to Ashley. I called everybody I knew who might know her, and Bob, and had very, very good feedback that he is an exceptionally skilled lobbyist and very well received by the legislature, and that she is very talented and somebody who we would do well to have on our side. So thank you guys for all coming down here, and thank you for having your board meeting here.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah.
I will say that I share the council members' issues at times. Being in Cody and the Bighorn Basin, sometimes I get a little bit forgotten. So appreciate the thoughts.
Very good. Okay.
We'll have our things leaving now.
Okay, with that, we've reached the portion of our meeting that is petitions and public comment. If you,
Domestic.
oh, good Lord. Let's see. Glasses do matter. We have our Domestic Violence Awareness Month proclamation.
Yes, so thank you very much. I'm Melinda Boss. I'm the Executive Director of YWCA. We do and run the domestic violence program here in town. This is Sue Lozier. She is our board president. So we are here today. Yes, it is not always a happy topic, but it is one that we need to have this conversation about. And more often than we think, it happens here. We all know the numbers: 1 in 4 women, 1 in 7 men experience domestic violence in their lifetime. So this is a large number. There was a new statistic I found through the Emergency Assistance Foundation that said 8 million lost days of paid work each year are attributed to domestic violence issues. This does not just affect the people that are in the relationship. It does not just even affect their children. This affects the jobs they go to every day. It affects the child cares they take their children to, the schools their children attend. This has a wider impact. Each time we have a death in our community from domestic violence, it is amazing how many different places we hear the story. I know working in the Y, I have a much different connection and we hear it closer, but even in the last situation of murder for domestic violence, there were 4 different employees that caught me in totally different connection points, all knowing that situation. This affects our communities, this impacts our community in so many ways. And so the best thing you can do is have a conversation. Be open about this. Be willing to say things. That is why we do these awareness events every year, because we want to start conversations. We want people talking about what it means, what it looks like. It's not always physical. There's emotional. There's economic. There's isolation. We think we're isolated in Wyoming if we compare ourselves to, say, Colorado, but imagine the isolation of feeling like you can't trust the people around you, that you believe that one voice in the house that is telling you you are worthless, that you could never get away, and that you have no control over your life. We need to be able to show people that that's not the case. We need to be able to have those conversations and talk them out. And so we appreciate taking events like this. I also wanted to say a very appreciation for those that came to our Heroes and Heels this weekend and those who bravely wore their heels and walked with us. That was amazing. I know I'm wearing my heels today because I didn't want to, show up anybody else on that day. But we thank you for doing that and for taking a few moments to be uncomfortable to help us bring that awareness. We do have another event coming up, and I'm going to have Sue pass around. This is a new thing we're going to give you this time. We're giving you both your usual bracelets, but we are also doing our 2nd annual Purple Glow Run. So we are doing a 5K walk run that is done glow style. So each of you is going to get a glow stick. It is not, don't crack them. If you crack them, then they will use up and they will be done. But these are yours as our gift to you. They will turn purple. Yes, these look pink, but they are purple. But this is what we're going to do for our glow one. We're going to walk at dusk. So we will walk in the dark with our purple glow. We start at the Young at Heart Senior Center. They're letting us use their facility so that we can host this event. We will also be doing our vigil, which is our awareness vigil. We started with our silent witness representatives. These are our silhouettes that we have of the 12 different women and children that were killed as a result of domestic violence since 1985. We have silhouettes for each one of them with their stories. We encourage people to come and learn something about this and learn the stories that they have of these amazing lives that are cut short because of domestic violence. I do also have flyers. If anybody would like to take extras, I can certainly hand them out. But I do appreciate your taking these minutes for us to do this. And if anyone has questions, I can certainly hand them out.
Council? I will say this is an issue that is deeply personal to me. I lost a cousin to domestic violence. Her husband shot and killed her while she was pregnant with their 2nd child. And it is not something that families bounce back from easily. So with that, the YWCA of Sweetwater County recognizes and participates in a public awareness campaign to support National Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Domestic Violence Awareness Month provides an excellent opportunity for citizens to learn more about preventing domestic violence and to show support for the organizations and individuals who provide critical advocacy, services, and assistance to victims. On average, nearly 20 people per minute are physically abused by an intimate partner in the United States. During 1 year, this equates to more than 10 million women and men. Domestic violence can take the form of physical, emotional, sexual, and economic abuse. 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men in the United States have experienced some form of physical violence by an intimate partner. Too often, the victims of domestic violence are children who can have lifelong repercussions from the emotional or physical trauma of being exposed to domestic violence. Domestic violence survivors and their advocates in Sweetwater County have rallied to the cause of victim justice. The government and citizens of Rock Springs, Wyoming fully recognize the need to treat victims with dignity and compassion. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Max Mickelson, Mayor of the City of Rock Springs, do hereby declare the month of October 2024 to be Domestic Violence Awareness Month in the City of Rock Springs, and I call upon our citizens to stand together against domestic violence and offer support and understanding to survivors. In an effort to raise awareness for this important issue, the YWCA will host the second annual Purple Glow Run Walk on October 11th, 2024, beginning at 6:30 p.m. The event will include a memorial for victims who have died because of violence through the Silent Witness Memorial and a family-friendly 5K walk run with a purple glow-in-the-dark theme.
Thank you. Okay.
Kodak moment.
Yeah, you just stepped back. I saw that. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, that now brings us to the portion of the evening where we recognize folks for petitions and public comments. If you would like to address the City Council and I, please approach the podium and identify yourself and who, if anyone, you represent.
Peggy Chenevert, and this is in reference to the property at the end of Muir that Top Tech Auto has purchased. Mr. Mayor and council members, especially Tim and Jeannie, I appreciate the prompt response and also the work from Top Tech to address some of the issues that we had at the last meeting. Quite a number of them have been accomplished, and we as adjacent property owners appreciate that.
Thank you, ma'am.
Max, Larry, and Rob. My name is Shirley Ann Sukeli. I'm here tonight, and I had something really big to go, but I was asked if I would come and talk to you three, and thank you. Of course, it's on the dog, the cemetery, with the dogs being able to walk in the cemetery with their masters. I've went to more people that I guarantee you that any of you 6 ones went to, because I wanted to see for myself if there was enough people that would say, no, that's sacred, that's our families. So thank you for giving me that opportunity to get out there and go for it. And I did, and I met soldiers, and I went after soldiers because I saw more of that crap going on there than I did see on this other side for years. And it's not going to change. It's going to be the same. How can they change after all these years that these people are going to do what they have to say? But they would like me to thank you, Larry, Max, and Rob, for voting no. And they said that they appreciated very much that you respected them and their families and that you showed the love to the soldiers that had died for us, for you to sit in those chairs. And they were really sad because you had already voted it before they really got a chance for it. And they asked me to ask you, Max, what can we do to change it back? Is there anything that we can do to change it back?
I think there's 2 processes. One, you could have a group of people come present to council asking for us to consider a different ordinance, although we've moved fairly far forward with it. And then I believe they could get signatures of qualified electors and have it on the ballot to overrule the council and I. I think that, no? Rick is telling me no.
No, I'm sorry. I apologize, Mayor and Council. I'm just thinking, as you're talking, I don't think we have referenda, although citizens in the city of Rock Springs can ask for ordinance changes. So just in the manner in which the ordinance was passed, it can also be amended and we can also repeal it if the council wishes to do that. So once an ordinance is passed, it's not written in stone. It can in fact be repealed, but it will have to go through the normal process that we go through to pass ordinances.
So having just amended it, we would need to have some fairly significant cause to revisit immediately.
Well, they just wanted to know what they could do because a lot of them didn't know it. And it's not really put out there for people to know this. You know, they're going to vote for this. Do you want it or do you not want it? And everybody that I walked to, even from Smith's to the American Legion to out of the Armory to, you'd be surprised where I went, you know, didn't know it and didn't realize it because it wasn't publicized, you know, for everybody, but they wanted to know what they could do, you know, on it. And this is what we all came up with, believe it or not. It's going to shock you, but this is what we came up with. U6 gave our families, our children, our soldiers to the dogs. And there was more, but he kicked me out. Max would kick me out if I went a little bit further of what they had to say about it. So that's as far as we went. And they're going to fight back, and so am I. But I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it that my time, my 5 minutes, you know, First Amendment, and that I'm able to speak. And would you please tell Beckwith, thank you for letting them know what they could do. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to address us this evening?
Mayor, Council. I would like to address the referendum vote. I was just reminded by my assistant that an ordinance adopted by municipal governing body shall be subject to a referendum vote if a petition signed by 10% of the qualified electors registered in the city of town is filed with the municipal clerk not later than 20 days after the ordinance is first published. So you were correct initially, and my shaking of my head was merely
contemplation,
just a reaction that had nothing to do with logic or reason.
Very good. Okay. Well, seeing no one else, I will close petitions and public comment and move on to bills and claims. First up, we have the bills and claims for October 1st, 2024. Council, do I have a motion?
Your Honor,
Councilor Demas?
I make a motion to approve the bills and claims for October 1st,
Thank you.
2024.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Hickerson. All those in favor, please. Oh, wait, is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining?
Abstaining.
Okay, the motion carries with Councilor Thompson abstaining, taking us to the salaries for September 23, 2024. Do we have a motion?
Your Honor,
Councilor Demas?
I make a motion to approve the salaries for September 23rd, 2024.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Robinson. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining?
Abstaining.
Okay, the motion carries with Councilor Thompson abstaining, bringing us to new business. First up, we have a recommendation from the Health Insurance Committee regarding health insurance premiums, HSA contributions, and stop loss for the 2025 plan year. Do we have a motion?
Move to approve this recommendation.
Thank you, Councilor Batolo. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Hickerson. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Okay, the motion carries unanimously, taking us to a request from the Housing Department for permission to fill a vacant housing specialist 1/2 position. Do we have a motion?
Your Honor,
Councilor Demas?
I make a motion to approve this request.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Batolo. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining?
Abstaining.
Okay, the motion carries with Counselor Thompson abstaining, bringing us to a request from the Police Department for permission to make a joint application for the Recovery Act Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant. Do we have a motion?
Your Honor,
Counselor Demas?
I make a motion to approve this request.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Thank you, Counselor Robinson. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I thought it would be a lot cooler if we were applying to have our very own JAG, but there we are. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries unanimously, bringing us to our resolutions for this evening. First up, we have Resolution 2024-142.
Your Honor,
Councilor Thompson?
I'd like to make a motion to amend Resolution 2024-142.
Okay, so this is a resolution to preserve performing artist signatures at the Broadway Theater and provide an alternative medium for future performers. What is your amendment?
I'd like to amend the second paragraph to read, whereas the governing body of the City of Rock Springs finds that existing signatures commemorating the participation of artists and performers at the theater should be preserved. I would like to amend Section 1 to read as follows. The theater director, in consultation with the URA director, shall determine how the autographs of participating artists and performers at the Broadway Theater are to be preserved, and to delete Section 2.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Second for Councilor Hickerson. Is there any discussion of the amendment? Okay. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Okay. Now I would look for a motion to approve the amended resolution. Thank you, Councilor Bertolo. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Demas. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries unanimously. And thank you, Daniel, for coming. You were totally not needed, but I appreciate your being here just in case. That takes us to Resolution 2024-143.
A resolution accepting and approving an annual use agreement between the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming and the Rock Springs Amateur Hockey Association, and authorizing Max Mickelson as mayor of the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming, and Matthew L. McBurnett as city clerk of the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming, to execute said annual use agreement on behalf of said city.
Thank you. Council, do we have a motion?
Your Honor,
Councilor Hanson?
I move to approve Resolution 2024-143.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Hickerson. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries unanimously, taking us to Resolution 2024-144.
A resolution accepting and approving change order number 1 with Yesco LLC and authorizing Max Mickelson as mayor and Matthew L. McBurnett as city clerk to execute said change order number 1 on behalf of the City of Rock Springs.
Thank you. Council, do we have a motion?
Your Honor,
Councilor Demas.
I make a motion to approve Resolution 2024-144.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Thompson. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries unanimously, taking us to Resolution 2024-145.
A resolution accepting and approving a contract between the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming and Masick Golf Cart Company in the amount of $399,156 and authorizing Max Mickelson as mayor and Matthew L. McBurnett as city clerk to execute said contract on behalf of the City of Rock Springs.
Thank you. Council, do we have a motion?
Your Honor,
Councilor Zadi.
I'd move to approve Resolution 2024-145, and I do want to thank JJ for the email kind of explaining everything that dealt with that. So.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Councilor Bertolo. Is there any discussion?
Your Honor.
Councilor Hickerson.
Just one quick one. That GPS that comes with these tells you where the pin's at, right? Not where the golf cart's at, if it gets stolen.
It will tell you both.
Nice.
Very good. Is there any further discussion?
Your Honor.
Councilor Robinson.
Will it tell you what driver to use?
Wow. How about what I earn you 2 years? I mean, there's only one driver. Dude.
Club in general.
See, I'm not a golfer, so I've.
Dude.
It will do a lot of things. It will not help our game.
There's literally no help in mine. Okay, so with that in mind, is there any further discussion? Legitimate discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries unanimously, taking us to Resolution 2024-146.
Sorry. A resolution accepting and approving a revised job description for the positions of Housing Specialist 1 at pay grade 103, Housing Specialist 2 at pay grade 105, and Senior Housing Specialist at pay grade 106 for the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming.
Thank you. Council, do we have a motion?
So moved, Your Honor.
Thank you, Councilor Robinson. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Demus. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstaining?
Abstaining.
Okay, the motion carries with Councilor Thompson abstaining, taking us to Resolution 2024-147.
A resolution accepting and approving a memorandum of understanding between the Board of Commissioners of Sweetwater County, Wyoming, the Board of County Commissioners of Lincoln County, Wyoming, the Board of County Commissioners of Uinta County, Wyoming, the town of Granger, Wyoming, the town of LaBarge, Wyoming, the town of Kimmer, Wyoming, the town of Diamondville, Wyoming, the town of Opal, Wyoming, the town of Cokeville, Wyoming, the city of Rock Springs, Wyoming, the city of Green River, Wyoming, the town of Superior, Wyoming, the town of Bear River, Wyoming, the town of Lyman, Wyoming, the town of Mountain View, Wyoming, and the city of Evanston, Wyoming, regarding the amounts and schedule for distribution of impact assistance funds for the Dry Creek Trona project.
Thank you. Council, do we have a motion?
So moved, Your Honor.
Thank you, Councilor Batolo. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Hanson. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries unanimously. Taking us to our final resolution of this evening, 2024-148.
A resolution accepting a grant agreement between the State of Wyoming Department of State Parks and Cultural Resources, Division of State Parks, Historic Sites and Trails, and the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming, and authorizing Max Mickelson as mayor of the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming, to execute said grant agreement on behalf of the city.
Thank you. Council, do we have a motion?
So moved, Your Honor.
Thank you, Councilor Hickerson. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Demus. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries unanimously. Bringing us to our ordinances of this evening. Our first is Ordinance 2024-13. It is on its second reading.
An ordinance amending the official zoning map of the City of Rock Springs from R2 Low Density Residential to the zoning designation of B2 Community Business Zone for a parcel of land totaling 1.069 acres and located in Section 35, Township 19 North, Range 105 West of the 6th Principal Meridian in the City of Rock Springs, County of Sweetwater, State of Wyoming.
Okay, Council, any concerns or comments? Hearing none, we will move on to Ordinance 2024-14, which is on its first reading.
An ordinance amending Article 4.2 entitled Garbage Collection of the ordinances of the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming.
Okay, Council, any comments or concerns? I did hear this evening that back when we had our own municipal trash collection, that this was a topic that made chickens look tame. So if y'all get bored, we could always bring it back. Okay, with that, does the council have any updates they'd like to share?
Just like dogs in the cemetery.
Highly controversial. And signatures and green rooms. Yeah. Okay, hearing none, I would look for a motion to adjourn into executive session.
I'll move into executive session.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Zani. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Demus. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.